Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace, as you can imagine, are keeping stum on this. They're saying absolutely nothing and not getting involved. I mean, I've seen some commentary this morning suggesting that if Harry and Meghan don't distance themselves from this book, then they're effectively endorsing it. I think that's probably a little bit double standards.
Rick,
Okay.
without saying the name, at what point did you spot it?
Well, I got the review copy a week ago, and I was allowed to publish it yesterday when the worldwide release was. So I made some tweets with some remarkable things from the book, and this was one of the things. And I assumed I didn't have such a great scoop because everyone got a book yesterday, isn't it? Yeah, something seemed to be different. Yeah.
You were obviously reading
Um,
it faster than everyone else because I think it was on page
mm,
128.
Well, I already got it a week, so I had some time to read it, and
Okay.
this was one of the things. And I thought yes, we all wanted to know, but otherwise, everyone in the UK, the US, Australia, everyone will have the same copy, but then in English, so they could also read it. But
But
it
no,
was
the Dutch
no.
copies are special or were special.
I had no clue. I had no clue. Yeah.
That must have been quite the moment when you turned the page and read that. What has been the reaction, Rick, so far to what you posted on social media?
Well, most of the reactions are, of course, from England, but the first one who responded was the Dutch publisher, who I also write for the major Dutch women's magazine, Libelle, and I put it online at I think 12 p.m. your time,
Mm.
and it took only an hour for the publisher to call me that you have to put it offline because of some legal problems.
Mm.
So I was very curious where it was about, and they couldn't say why, but there were some passages that had been subject of discussion and may not have been stated correctly. So, well, afterwards it was something that has been in the translation. That's what Omid says, actually.
Mm.
Yeah, it's difficult to believe because this name is not really difficult to translate. Yeah, even in French, it's the same.
Oh, no, stop, Rick. You're sailing very close to the wind there. So I don't. What I don't understand is that the publishers got in touch and obviously they were panicked and they've had
Yeah,
to pulp the copies, but
yeah.
they're saying that they don't understand how this happened.
Mm.
Is that right?
Yeah, they say so. Omid says it has never been in one of the productions he have made,
Mm.
but I can't believe it because I with a colleague of you, we compared some of the passages, and there's just erased one passage between in the English version, and
Mm.
then it goes on like in my book.
So, Rick, how many people would have that copy?
Well, it was in the shelves on the shelves yesterday,
Right,
so maybe 1,000 people.
right.
I don't think many people will have it.
Okay, but you do, and you'll be keeping
Yeah,
yours.
of
Rick,
course. Yeah.
thank you for talking to us. That's the Dutch royal journalist Rick Evers, who was the one who spotted the name in the Dutch version, but not in any other versions. Let's also speak to royal correspondent Sarah Hewson. Morning, Sarah.
Morning, Asma.
This is a really bizarre story, isn't it?
It's really bizarre, and there seems to be a lot of it's not me gov going on here, doesn't it? Because the publishers are saying, well, we don't know how it happens. Omid Scobie is saying, well, I don't speak Dutch, and I'm sure the publishers have it under control. It doesn't feel very controlled with books having to be pulped and pulled from shelves on publication day, does it? But it does appear that this was an error. Omid Scobie writes in the book that there was an exchange of letters between Meghan and her father-in-law, the king, in which Meghan names to Charles two members of the royal household who had raised questions about the colour of Archie's skin tone, and
Mm.
that they had this exchange of letters, and that while they didn't necessarily see eye to eye on it, both of them felt they had been heard. Omid Scobie says He knows the names of those in question, but he can't publish it for legal reasons. And he says he has never at any point put this into print. So he has no idea how this has happened. He said, I wrote and edited the English version. There's never been a version that I've produced that has names in it.
So the book's going to be pulped by the publishers, the Dutch publishers. Is there any kind of legal action or anything that can result from this, or not?
Well, at the moment, Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace, as you can imagine, are keeping stum on this. They're saying absolutely nothing and not getting involved. I've seen some commentary this morning suggesting that if Harry and Meghan don't distance themselves from this book, then they're effectively endorsing it. I think that's probably a little bit double standards, because we think it's fine for the royals to not comment on content that might not be to their taste. We can't necessarily expect Harry and Meghan to do the same. As for any legal ramifications, I don't know, but I think there'll be a lot of panicked faces and heads at the publishers Zander in the Netherlands today.
Yes, and how has this book been received? How's it kind of gone down so far?
Well, it's not a flattering portrait of the royal family by any degree, and I think we might have expected that. It's not Omid Scobie's first book. We know his first book, Finding Freedom, was very much on the Sussexes side of this. So for the royal family, it's not flattering. But I mean, well, I'm 50 pages from the end, Asma, so I should probably reserve judgment until I've completely finished.
Come back and speak to us.
Yes, exactly. There are no big bombshells. It feels to me that we've read a lot of this before. And after Spare and after Netflix and after every other book and every other interview, it does feel that we're rehashing old ground with this one.
Okay, interesting. Sarah, thank you. That's our royal correspondent, Sarah Hewson. And Omid Scobie, who wrote those two books that Sarah was talking about, Finding Freedom and Endgame.
Welcome to Meghan and Harry Tales, where we dive into the latest stories surrounding the Sussexes. In today's episode, we explore the unexpected controversy sparked by a Dutch version of Finding Freedom and what it reveals about the royal family. Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace have stayed completely silent, but the controversy is far from quiet. The Dutch edition of Finding Freedom stirred a storm by revealing a passage that named two members of the royal household, supposedly involved in questioning the skin colour of Prince Harry and Meghan's son Archie. These names, which had never been publicly disclosed, sparked major concerns, leading the Dutch publisher to pull the book from shelves and issue a recall. What makes this situation even more bizarre is that Omid Scobie, the book's co-author, insists he never included any names in his English version of the book. According to him, he doesn't speak Dutch and claims there was a mix-up with the translation. It's a mess that even he didn't anticipate, and he's completely in the dark about how this error occurred. While many have rushed to criticise Harry and Meghan, suggesting that their failure to distance themselves from the book amounts to endorsement, is this really fair? After all, if the royal family can choose to remain quiet on content they dislike, shouldn't Harry and Meghan have the same freedom? The book, which is far from flattering to the royal family, has already sparked a range of reactions. Critics have noted that it doesn't offer any major revelations, but it's clear that the Sussexes' relationship with the monarchy remains a topic that continues to captivate the public's imagination. Stay tuned to Meghan and Harry Tales as we explore more on this developing story and its impact on the royal family's future.